our next door neighbors, the Smiths, they had 11 kids, 6 boys, 5 girls, right?
Yeah.
And, Scott was my age. So when we were like 12 years old, his oldest brother was like 44 years old.
Yeah.
All out of Mrs. Smith. You know what I mean? People always ask, they were like, oh my God, were they Catholic? And it was like, yes, they were. So, but the whole thing is that's why I would hear Zeppelin, Bad Company, the Allman Brothers, the Grateful Dead, Sabbath.
Okay,
yes.
So they really
Yeah,
paved
everything
the way.
that's classic rock now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So Creedence, everything.
Yeah.
Because Scott's older brothers, that's what they were weaned on.
Hallo und herzlich willkommen zu Der Soundtrack meines Lebens. Ich bin Jan Schwarzkamp und ich werde euch in diesem Podcast auf eine musikalische Reise mitnehmen. Eine durch das tönende und klingende Leben meiner Gäste. Mal nerdig, mal erhellend, immer persönlich. Ein Austausch über Popkultur im Allgemeinen und ein Blick aufs Leben durch die Linse der Musik im Speziellen. Viel Spaß mit der folgenden Episode.
Zu Gast in dieser Episode von Der Soundtrack meines Lebens ist Zakk Wylde. Zachary Phillip Wieland wird eigentlich als Jeffrey Phillip Wieland in Bayonne, New Jersey geboren. Und zwar im Jahr 1967. Schon als Schulkind spielt er Gitarre, als Teenager macht er dann nahezu nichts anderes, bis er Teil von lokalen Bands aus New Jersey wird. 1987 hört er die Howard Stern Show, durch die er erfährt, dass Ozzy Osbourne einen neuen Leadgitarristen sucht, der er dann eben auch wird. Zwischen 1988 und 2022 ist er auf 6 Studio- und 3 Live-Alben von Osbourne zu hören. Seine erste richtige Band sind die stark vom Southern Rock beeinflussten Pride and Glory, mit denen er 1994 nur ein Album veröffentlicht. 1996 folgt sein Soloalbum Book of Shadows, das erst 20 Jahre später eine Fortsetzung bekommt. 1998 gründet er außerdem die stark vom Biker-Look inspirierten Black Label Society. Und mit denen veröffentlicht er Ende März 2026 das 12. Album Engines of Demolition. Daneben hat der bärtige Hühne als Zack Sabbath das Erbe von Black Sabbath auf die Bühne gebracht und zuletzt bei einer Pantera-Reunion in den Fußstapfen von Dimebag Darrell mitgemischt. Meistens dabei seine legendäre Gibson Les Paul Custom mit dem Bullseye-Design. Der King of Pinch Harmonics beschreibt sich selbst als Soldier of Christ und hat mit der Sauferei aufgehört, nachdem er 2009 wegen Blutverklumpung beinahe gestorben wäre. Mit seiner Frau Barbara Ann hat er 4 Kinder. Und damit nun herzlich willkommen zu einer weiteren Episode von Der Soundtrack meines Lebens mit Zakk Wylde. Hi Zakk, nice to have you here.
Yes.
Sorry. And sorry for making you wait.
That's all good, man.
So, Zakk, belated congratulations. You just turned 59.
Yes.
Did you expect to make it till
Closing
here?
in on 60, the next step.
Yeah. Did you expect it to make it till here while still being part of the heavy music circus?
Well, one thing I have discovered when I was 12 years old listening to Black Sabbath, that like Snowblind at 12 years old still sounds, if not even more devastatingly awesome at 59 years old. So yeah, without a doubt.
Okay.
But, yeah, that's it's pretty crazy.
But Black Label Society relies heavily on the aesthetics of a certain Johnny Walker whiskey, and at least in the very beginning. That said, you quit drinking alcohol in 2009. How did you manage that, especially in your line of work, where it's easier to get a beer backstage than a water?
Well, now I just sniff a lot of glue and eat a lot of paint chips, and the results are astoundingly the same. I don't remember anything that happened the night before, and I wake up, my pants around my ankles, and all the fellas tell me you were friggin' hilarious last night. But it's less filling, less calories, so you don't have to worry about putting any weight on. It seems to be working fine.
So, we met here to dig deep into your musical socialization, and you grew up in Jackson, which is, I believe, a quite rural township in the state of New Jersey. And 1967 is the year you were born. What is the earliest musical memory you have?
I mean, the power of music, seeing Elton John on the Sonny and Cher show. I guess he was supporting Captain Fantastic and Dirty, the Captain Fantastic album, and the Brown Dirt Cowboy. And he was on Sonny and Cher doing Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds. And I was just in awe. I got like chills just seeing that. I had to be, what then, 8 years old. And but it was crazy because I had my Elton John book I got from Christmas, and I actually had him sign it. It was great. He signed it for me, which was pretty amazing. Yeah, because me and my wife Barbara, we got we knew our vows, and Ozzy and Sharon came down, and Ozzy and Sharon's really good friends with Elton and everything like that.
Yeah.
So we were able to go backstage and meet him and everything like that. So it was pretty insane that he saw the book. He goes, "Oh, I remember when this book first came out and everything, So, but he signed it for me. I got that sitting in my nightstand now. So, like how you have everything in this room. It's great.
Wow.
But
yeah.
So pretty much Elton John was the first one.
Okay.
Of going, how awesome music is.
Yeah. And that book, is it sheet music or what? Or
No,
is
just
it
a
book,
just a
like
book on
fan
Elton
book?
John.
Okay. Oh.
Yeah.
What music did your parents or your grandparents or your neighbors listen to?
I mean, well, my parents listened to, Sinatra and everything like that. And then, because my parents were older, my dad was a World War II vet and everything like that. So they listened to that kind of stuff, and, Simon and Garfunkel, like my mom liked and everything like that. So, it would be like that kind of stuff. But our next door neighbors, the Smiths, they had 11 kids, 6 boys, 5 girls, right?
Yeah.
And, Scott was my age. So when we were like 12 years old, his oldest brother was like 44 years old.
Yeah.
All out of Mrs. Smith. You know what I mean? People always ask, they were like, "Oh my God, were they Catholic?" And it was like, yes, they were. So, but the whole thing is that's why I would hear Zeppelin, Bad Company, the Allman Brothers, the Grateful Dead, Sabbath.
Okay,
yes.
So they really paved
everything
the way.
that's classic rock now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So Creedence, everything.
Yeah.
Because Scott's older brothers, that's what they were weaned on.
Yeah.
So the Who, everything. So, and that's how I obviously discovered all that stuff.
Did radio play any role?
Yeah, totally. Just listening to the radio, top 40 all the time and everything like that.
Yeah. Because back in the day, that was an important medium. That was like, it opened the world to people. It showed them what was hip and not. And
yeah, no, totally.
Yeah.
Really, really, truly amazing.
Did you have a certain favorite radio show that you got back to regularly?
No, just probably AM radio, just top 40 radio.
Yeah. Can you remember the first record you got yourself, or you got maybe as a present because you wished for it?
Probably Elton John's Greatest Hits, and then Don't Shoot Me, I'm Only the Piano Player. And then, after I saw Elton on that, I was just like, wanted to get every Elton John record I could.
Yeah. And can you remember what the first concert was you went to?
First real concert I ever saw was Black Sabbath, Mob Rules at the Philadelphia Spectrum. When was that, 1982? Probably.
Okay.
Yep.
That was your first concert, Black
Sabbath?
Sabbath?
With Ronnie James Dio.
Holy.
Yeah, because I never got a chance to see the original Sabbath.
Yeah.
Because I was born in 1967.
Yeah.
Wow.
But that's pretty neat.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Yeah. So I read that actually that Rocket Man was the song that made you passionate about music. Is that true, or is the internet wrong?
Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds.
Yeah.
When I saw him on the Sonny and Cher show. So, and then collecting every Elton record I could.
Can you explain what makes Elton John's music so special to you?
I think it's a combination of everything. His voice is so ear-pleasing. Mm-hmm. And, the production on those records and the musicianship. All the guys in his band are just phenomenal. And, the production on those albums is just timeless.
Yeah.
It really, truly is in a league of its own. I mean, you listen to, like you said, you listen to Rocket Man, you listen to
Yeah.
Don't Let the Sun Go Down on Me, Goodbye Yellow Brick Road. I mean, all that stuff. It's Funeral for a Friend. I mean, everything like truly amazing. And not only that, just the performances from all the guys and Elton and everything like that, but the production on those albums, like, when you listen to Pink Floyd records, it's just that the production is just phenomenal.
Yeah. There's a piano-led ballad on the Pride and Glory album you released in 1994. It's called Sweet Jesus. Is that kind of your take on a classic Elton John type song?
Well, no, it's definitely the influence is always there. Whenever I'm doing mellow stuff, it's my love of Elton John, the Eagles, the Stones, the Beatles, obviously. But when the Stones are doing Wild Horses and Angie and Memory Motel and all that stuff, I love it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I love listening to that stuff as much as I love listening to, Sabbath Volume 4.
Yeah.
So.
You were 8 years old when you started out playing the guitar. What was your motivation behind that? To pick up the guitar, not another instrument.
Yeah, because I love Elton John. It was just.
But he's not a guitarist.
Yeah,
though.
It's
He's
piano.
He's
You
a
know what I
pianist,
mean?
yeah.
So it's just, no, I think it's just love of music,
Mm.
and that's why I was never forced to have to practice or do anything. Because if you truly love anything, you're gonna do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, if you're driven and you have passion for something, you're not going to have to be forced to have to do it. You're just not, it's because you love doing it.
What was the first guitar you got? Was it an acoustic guitar or was it already an
I
electric
think I had an
guitar?
acoustic guitar, but I mean, like my first real good guitar was a Gibson SG, and I still have it. So a Pelham Blue SG, but that was my first, quality instrument, like a good instrument. But yeah, I mean that's what it was.
Did you take lessons in the beginning?
Yeah, I ended up taking. I took lessons from my football coach's son,
Yeah.
Leroy Wright, and Leroy was great because he would teach me. He would teach you your favorite songs.
Yeah.
Mixed in with my scales and theory and things that you didn't kind of want to do. But I mean, I loved doing it though. You know what I mean? Like I loved, because a lot of people will be like, they like playing the game, but they don't like practice. Like I love the practice sessions too. You know what I mean? So, I loved all the theory and, learning how scales and everything like that and how things work and everything like that. So, that I just, the fretboard and everything, I just found it so interesting.
Yeah, one of the first songs you learned was Tangerine by Led Zeppelin.
Yeah,
right?
Led Zeppelin. He taught me, that was, to learn how to play chords and everything like that. And then, I think if you ask most guitar players and musicians, as soon as you could play to a record, regardless, whatever song it is, Highway to Hell by AC/DC, and you could actually play with the record.
Yeah.
It's, like Tom Petty said, he goes, about music, he goes, to me, he goes, that it's the true, it's like really, it's magic. You know what I mean? Like truly, true magic. Where, I mean, because let's be real, with all of us, music can transport you to places. When you hear certain songs, the nostalgia of it brings you right back to when you were 13 years old. When you go, oh man, I remember hearing this song, being at my aunt's house, and I know exactly where I was when the first time I heard this song. You know what I mean? I mean, that's the beautiful thing about music.
Yeah.
It's true for all of us.
Yeah.
It really is that powerful.
Yeah, it is. There's nothing more emotionally touching, I guess, or
Yeah.
nothing more that is as direct as music can be.
Yeah, that's
Giving
why I
you-
think
giving
when
you
Tom
shivers.
Petty, when I heard this interview, he just goes, to me, it really is like the truest form of magic.
But you're in your early teens when you take the guitar playing more seriously than in the very beginning, I've heard. And that means around the late 70s, early 80s. And among your earliest influences are guitar heroes like Tony Iommi, Jimmy Page, and Jimi Hendrix. And back in the day, well, there weren't YouTube tutorials, etc. So how did you figure out what and how those guys were playing? Or was it all your football coach's son
so
that
Leroy,
was that
Leroy,
helpful?
right? Leroy, from learning with Leroy. You know what I mean? So,
Okay.
It's just, one brick at a time. You know what I mean? It's just you learn a little, then you learn a little more, then you learn a little more. Like Dorian Yates didn't become Dorian Yates, so, Mr. Olympia overnight.
Yeah.
Everybody starts off, Yngwie, didn't become Yngwie that we know right now in a week and a half.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean? Once he picked it up, and then once he, obviously you have a gift, but you got to, and that's like a tree. You got to water it though.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, and you got to put the time in.
At age 14, you start working at Silvered Music at, I think, Tom's River Township.
Yeah.
It's a music store and a key spot for local musicians. How did your working there look like? Did you go there after school and then just?
No, well, Dave Sabo in Skid Row, Davey worked there at Garden State Music, and I remember they were the first ones to have like Randy Rhoads, Jackson and everything, like they had like all incredible, at the time, like all these, cool instruments and this. And I remember Al Di Meola came down and played, and that was like mind blowing. And it was just
those guys came round to that music store to play.
Yeah, we did a guitar clinic and stuff like that. So
okay.
Yeah, it was pretty mind blowing.
Yeah,
but
I believe that.
Yeah, it was incredible, and but that was like the really amazing music store at the time, with amps and gear and guitars or whatever, which was pretty awesome. So we go down there and hang out, but but that was Garden State Music, and it's actually still there.
Yeah,
I mean, it's different than what the setup and everything like that, but I remember Dave, because he lived up in Sayreville. He drove like an hour and a half to go work there. So, which was crazy, because he looks at it, he just goes, I spent more money in gas working there than I did the money I made. You know what I mean?
Yeah. If I'm not wrong, your very first band is called Stonehenge. And how did that band sound like? Because I couldn't find anything from that band. I mean, there are loads of bands called Stonehenge.
We were Stonehenge, and that was before Spinal Tap came out. But it was Stonehenge, and then we were a cover band. You know what I mean? We played, I think we were playing Bark at the Moon at the time. It was so funny, because then I ended up playing it with Ozzy. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
But,
so you did your homework already.
Yeah. And I mean, that's why I started doing Zach Sabbath even then, because in that band we were doing, when all the Sabbath songs, I was singing them.
Yeah.
Whether we were doing NIB and everything like that. And then we were doing Purple Haze and, Cream, Sunshine of Your Love. I mean, everything like that. But it was just, but that's what we were, just a little cover band.
Okay. And how old have you been then around that time? 15, 16?
Yeah, probably 15, 16, something like that.
There's another band you end up playing with. It's called Cyrus.
Yeah,
Is that
Cyrus
pronounced correctly?
Yeah, totally. And then we started playing.
And they're from your hometown, Jackson. And in 1986, you recorded a song called All For You. You're 19 years old at that time. And judging from the photo I saw from the lineup, everybody else seems to be a little older than you. Could that be?
Yeah, the guys in Cyrus were all probably about 5 years older than me.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. They're all great guys.
There is a whole Cyrus show on YouTube. It's an hour long. You can watch it. There's a big solo you doing during that show, but you never recorded anything with the band, right? You never released.
No, we just
a record,
did demos. We have some demo songs and everything like that, but we recorded at Surefire Studios in Jersey, and we did what did we record, like a 3-song demo, trying to shop that to get a deal and everything like that, but yeah, I mean, but it was a lot of fun, man, for sure.
But yeah, it's quite anthemic, these days you would say hair metal, kind of.
Yeah, I guess, we were doing poppy stuff.
Yeah.
Just because we were, like you said, it was a sign of the time trying to get signed. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Because Bon Jovi was huge. and
That
everything like that.
that's it. Because Bon Jovi, I mean, they're also from New Jersey, and they released their first record in 1984. But they have their breakthrough with "Slippery When Wet," their third in 1986. So was that band? Were they a band to look up to? Did you come around seeing them in their early days back then?
No, I mean, for me, with the guys, like I always say, because you got to play what you love. I
Yeah.
mean, we were just, nobody in that band would own a Bon Jovi record. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? It's just that John's huge and he's from New Jersey. Like Bruce Springsteen's huge and he's from New Jersey. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's like I'm listening to Sabbath and Zeppelin and everything like that. And then we're playing music that we think is going to get us signed,
Yeah.
which is the wrong way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
You got to play what you like.
Mm-hmm.
And, and hopefully if you can build a following from there, but you have to play what you love and what you enjoy.
Yeah. But what about Bruce Springsteen? Did he mean anything to you? Also because, I mean, he was from New Jersey, but he was a star.
No, I never, because I was playing guitar. So, the music that moved me was Black Sabbath. And then, obviously Zeppelin and I would find. And then, the more guitar bands, then when Back in Black came out, forget about it.
Yeah.
Everybody had that record. And it was just, but they were all guitar-driven bands.
Yeah.
I mean, when I'd listen to Springsteen, my buddies listening, but I was just like, where's the guitar? I see he's playing one, but I don't hear it, though. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
I hear keyboards and the saxophone. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I mean, it's great stuff. Now that I'm older, I have, an appreciation for it. But I mean, back then, I was just like, there's nothing here for me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
get that. Yeah. By the way, when was the point in your life when you went from Jeffrey Phillip Wieland to Zakk Wylde? Because I couldn't find out anything about it.
No, I was using Zachary because my wife, Barbara Ann, the girlfriend at the time,
Yeah.
she goes, man, if we, if we ever had kids, whatever, Zachary would be a cool name for a boy. I said, yeah, I think I'm going to use that. So that's when I started becoming Zakk.
Yeah.
I was Zakk Wylde. And then when I got the gig with Oz was like, it can't be Zakk Wylde. It has to be something different. And I think I saw Kim Wilde was on TV. And I go, we were all getting hammered. I go, how about Zakk Wylde? I'll just spell it different than her. You know what I mean? And that's how we got Zakk Wylde.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
So thanks to Kim Wilde then.
Yes, without a doubt.
Yes. With the 80s and your increasing abilities, you tend to also radiate towards other guitarists. There's Frank Marino from Canadian rockers, Mahogany Rush, then Randy Rhoads from Quiet Riot, and Eddie Van Halen, to mention the ones on the heavier side. What did those guys mean to you?
Well, I mean, they're all game-changing guitar players, but like obviously because they moved me. I mean, obviously their music and on top of it, their musicianship. But I mean, I always say great musicians.
Yeah.
You don't just hear them, you feel them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think with all the musicians or whatever bands it is that you love, it's just because they move you emotionally.
But when was the time when you broadened your horizon? Because you're keen on a lot of notes, and there are certain jazz guitarists that are pretty good in doing so, like Al Di Meola and John Loughlin and Paco de Lucia and Joe Pass and Pat Martino. So, and you at some point you get into them also. How did that look like, and how far did they have an influence on you?
Huge. I still listen to them today. You know what I mean? And every time I hear them, I get inspired. But like you said, I mean, all the musicians you just mentioned, whether it's Al Di Meola, John McLaughlin, Paco, Frank Marino, Robin Trower, Jimmy Page, Randy Rhoads, Eddie Van Halen. I mean, all the guys I love and listen to. Tony Iommi, Steve Morris from the Dixie Dregs.
Yeah.
It's the music and their songs that move you. You know what I mean? Inspire you to I love Keith Richards as much as John McLaughlin, technically insane. And then you have Keith. I love Keith's playing too. You know what I mean? Like everything he's written is amazing.
Legend has it that in 1987 you listened to the Howard Stern show and you got informed about the audition for a new guitarist for Ozzy Osbourne's band. If that is correct. So
What's
far.
that?
So is that correct? That you listened to Howard Stern's show and got informed about the audition?
Yeah. No, my wife Barbara Ann, she was listening to Howard Stern, and he was just like, "Oh, Ozzy was on," and he said, "Yeah, I'm looking for a new guitarist." This is after Jake had left the band.
Yeah.
And my wife Barbara Ann, she goes, because she knew how much I loved Ozzy and Savage. She was saying, she was like, "I knew you were going to get that gig just because your love for Ozzy." Or what. And I was like, how do I don't know how you get in touch with any of these people. They're all like mythical, magical people. You know, they just appear on stage and they leave. So, but no, I made a tape, and I remember we were playing with Cyrus. We were playing a place called the Close Encounters, this club. And Dave came up. He's like, "Oh, man, my name's Dave Feld." He goes, "You ever think about auditioning for Ozzy?" I go, "No, I thought about going for lunch with Robert Plant and Jimmy Page, but I don't have their phone number in the in the phone book." You know what I mean? So he was like, "Well, if you make me a cassette or a picture or whatever, I can get it to Mark Weiss. I can't promise you anything, but I know Mark. Mark's a legendary photographer. He did all Ozzy's, tons of Ozzy's photography. So." Ozzy with the tutu on and the boxing gloves and the whole 9 yards with the ballerina outfit, all those crazy pictures. And it was just like, yeah, Zakk, if you get the pictures to me, I can, hopefully maybe she can get it to Mrs. Osbourne.
Yeah.
And we'll see what happens. You know what I mean? So, and Oz said he remembered, like when I went and actually met Ozzy when I went out to audition. He goes, "Where have I seen you before?" And I said, "I don't know. Last time when I probably saw you at the Garden with Jake, you know what I mean? Like in the audience. Maybe that's what he remembers seeing me or whatever." And he just goes, "No, I've seen you before or whatever, right?" So he goes, "Oh, yeah." He goes, "I remember because you had a Polaroid. It was the only one sitting on the kitchen table." And I said, "Oh," Ozzy looked at it. He goes, "Oh, look at this kid. He must really love Randy Rhoads." And he goes, and Ozzy didn't think anything of it. But he goes, "Now I remember where I saw it. It was in that picture that was in the kitchen."
Yeah.
But so then, that was about it. But yeah, and then I auditioned for Oz. I crapped my pants. Ozzy told me to change my pants and go make him a ham sandwich and go light on the Coleman's mustard. And I did that for the next 30 years.
Can you remember the exact moment when you confronted Ozzy for the first time?
Yeah, like I said, I shook his hand. He said, "Zakk, play with your heart."
Yeah.
Then he said, "Now go change your pants and go make me the sandwich."
He's a funny guy.
The best.
The first record you are part of is No Rest for the Wicked, and as you didn't release anything with Stonehenge and anything with with Cyrus, sorry. So this is the first one, and it's 1988. You're 21 at that point. Can you remember how that felt to finally have a record in your hands where you are part of, where you are in the liner notes, where you have written songs?
Yeah, well, that was amazing. And then the first time I was going in the 7-Eleven to go get something to drink, and I remember somebody was cranking their car next door. It was on the radio. Miracle Man was on the radio. I was just like, wow, this is pretty cool. To hear the song on the radio. Yeah. So, from writing it.
Did you go to that guy and say, well, I'm on that song?
No, I didn't say anything. I just went in the store. I was like, wow, this is like, thank you, God. You know what I mean? This is pretty, that's an amazing moment.
Is that a feeling that you still get when you hear something new of you in the radio somewhere?
Oh, it's still like that. Whenever an Ozzy song comes on the radio, or, I hear No More Tears or Mama, I'm Coming Home, or Miracle Man, or, any of the songs, Road to Nowhere, or whatever's on the radio, See on the Other Side, if I hear it on it, it's, you go, wow, that's pretty crazy.
What I find interesting is that you talk about those mythical creatures, Ozzy, Randy, Tony,
Totally.
and whatnot. But by now, you are one of those mythical creatures, aren't you?
That's what I tell the wife. She goes, "All right, great mythical boy.
Yeah.
Now go bring the garbage out and then come rub my feet." Mythical boy.
A year later, in 1989, there's a wild cover compilation being released, Stairway to Heaven, Highway to Hell. It features, among others, Ozzy, Scorpions, Bon Jovi, Cinderella. And you team up with members of Skid Row, Mötley Crüe, and drummer Jason Bonham to do a take on Led Zeppelin's Rock and Roll. Can you remember how that came about?
Yeah, it was just, all right, everybody get up here. We all know how to play rock and roll, right? All right, let's do this. So, pretty much like that.
Yeah. Did you ask Jason by any chance fan questions about Led Zeppelin?
No, I mean, I think everybody pretty much knew Zeppelin at that point. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but maybe you had, I don't know, certain questions, and he was pretty close.
No, I still talk with Jace. Jace is great. So, I mean, he's amazing.
Yeah.
For sure. But no, Jason, yeah, because you could pick his brain about any of the Zeppelin stuff. You know what I mean? Yeah, so he knows Zeppelin stuff. The guys in the band don't even remember recording. Yeah. You know what I mean? But no, it was just a blast when we were all over there in Russia. Going over on the plane, and it was a lot of fun.
By the way, put that underneath your foot, then it's less loud.
Oh, okay.
You can still stomp.
No, there you go.
Don't worry. Also in 1989, Black Sabbath drummer Bill Ward is releasing his first solo album, Ward 1 Along the Way, and you end up on the track Pink Clouds and Island. It's a pretty weird track, slightly psychedelic, but also somehow like a 70s prog tune. Can you remember that session?
Yeah, well, I mean, it was great talking to Bill too, because Bill's just a sweetheart, and he's another mythical figure.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah. So for me, whenever I get a chance and I'm around the guys and they tell me Sabbath stories, it's like it's the ultimate fan VIP. You know what I mean? I get to hear these stories firsthand from the guys. But yeah, pretty amazing stuff. But yeah, Bill was like, "Zakk, would you want to play?" I was, "Of course." I mean, I'd be honored. So that's how that came about.
What I find interesting is that with entering the Ozzy Osbourne circle, it feels like you got the golden key and now you have access to all those different projects and things. And
well, I remember
so many doors open up.
Playing because Sabbath was going to play.
Yeah.
When we did the Long Beach amphitheater at the end of the No More Tours tour.
Mm-hmm.
And Ozzy came out. Rob Halford was there too. But Rob came out and sang some stuff. But Sabbath was playing, so it was Bill, Tony, Geezer was there, and Ozzy. But Tony wasn't there, so at sound check to go over some songs, I was playing with Geezer, Bill, and I'm playing guitar. And I was just like, this is, if you would have taken the 14-year-old me playing, because I'm playing the songs on the record, and now I'm up here playing the songs with the guys, is pretty mind-blowing.
In 1992, you're part of Guitars That Rule the World, a compilation with legendary guitarists like Yngwie Malmsteen, Orbit Collins, Dickie Betts, and Paul Gilbert. And you're among them doing a song named Farm Fiddlin', which starts with a banjo-like picking and then mutates into this 8.5-minute noodling blues monster. What is that about?
Oh, well, they when I got asked by John Six to do it, it's like, "Zakk, we're going to put together this, come up with whatever you want."
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh, okay, cool." I mean, at that point, I was going through, it's like Albert Lee, a great, amazing country guitar player.
Mm-hmm.
So, who's from England,
Mm-hmm.
which is amazing. So he's from England, and he's one of the greatest country guitar players in the world.
Yeah.
Ever. So, well, that just goes to show you, if you're touched by music and you love it, you will excel at it. But no, that's how that thing came about. I was just like, it was farm film, it was a country thing, and then we put a rock riff that went with it.
And also, I mean, it goes on and on from from this point on. So I really want to get into a few of those things. You team up with Dweezil Zappa for his album Confessions in 1991, and you are credited as a soloist on 2 tracks. And one is a cover of the Bee Gees' Staying Alive with Donny Osmond on vocals and 6 soloists all in all. That is a pretty interesting company you kept there.
No, yeah. I mean, well, I was, when you run into the guys and they're like, Zakk, can you put a solo on it? Yeah, let's do it, man. It's just musicians hanging out with other musicians having a good time.
But how was it? I mean, did you guys become friends? And was it like, check out how long my penis is. No, mine is even longer. Is it?
I didn't meet Donnie when he was down there, but no,
Yeah.
with Dweezil.
Yeah.
Because I'm buddies with Dweezil, so he, was like, Zakk, can you put some solos? Like, yeah, whatever you want me to do, man.
Yeah. And it somehow feels like being part of Ozzy's band is opening a lot of doors for you. I mentioned that. And in 1992, you co-wrote the song Hellraiser for Motorhead's March or Die album. How did that come about?
Well, I mean, the lyrics is just because Oz, being buddies with Lemmy.
Yeah.
Because Bob Daisley, it was Geezer with Sabbath. Then Bob was a great foil with Oz, with Blizzard and Diary. And, and he still worked with Oz on Bark the Moon and stuff like that. So then, I know John Purdell wrote some lyrics, No More Tears with Oz.
Yeah.
He worked on that. And then Ozzy reached out to Lemmy. Hey, Lemmy, I need some lyrics for this. So he's like, yeah, no problem. Like Ozzy said, he goes, I thought it would take him 2 weeks. He'd have a bunch of lyrics for you. He goes, like later that day, he was like, here you go. I have 3 sets of different lyrics for you. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, Lemmy was always well read and just always reading and always knowledgeable about tons of stuff. But yeah, he just knocked them out in no time.
Mm-hmm.
And then he did Hellraiser as well. Ozzy was like, we got the music was done. Ozzy singing, Ozzy had the melody. He's just like, I need some lyrics. Let me ask Lemmy, knock some lyrics out. He was like, no problem, man.
Also, there's a bootleg I found, and it's from a show on February 19th, 1993. You join Leonard Skinner at the Fox Theater in Atlanta for an acoustic set. How did that come about?
The Skinner guys, because that was 94, so 93 we were done Pride and Glory.
Yeah.
We opened up for Skinner on
Okay.
some of the shows. So that's how they came about, because they did Skinner and Friends.
Yeah.
It was a pay-per-view thing.
Yeah.
Travis Tritt was there, Brett Michaels, Peter Frampton, Tom Kiefer, like all of us that were, fans of Skinner. And then obviously the Skinner guys, being friends with Peter Frampton, they knew Peter and everything like that. So yeah, it was just everybody coming out to celebrate Skinner, and Skinner did their thing.
Yeah. But I mean, this is a band that has had some influence on you, and that.
Oh yeah, without a doubt, Skinner for sure.
How was it hanging with them and playing with them?
Amazing. Same thing, with the Allman Brothers.
Yeah.
Without a doubt.
But yeah, finally, on May 21st in 1994, you release a record with a band of yours that has Zakk Wylde written all over it. It's Pride and Glory. And that self-titled album is packed to the brim with 14 songs in 74 minutes. And it totally channels your love for Southern rock. There's the Allman Brothers in there, and Leonard Skinner, and some ZZ Top, I think. Is that what you were aiming for, to channel your love for Southern rock?
Yeah, I mean, obviously at that point, that's where I was at, and we had a great time making that record. I really did have a blast with that. And then obviously when we did the tour after that, that was a lot of fun too.
You not only play guitar, but you sing and take care of the piano, mandolin, banjo, harmonica. When did you start to play the piano? I mean, and when did you realize that you could actually pull it off behind the mic?
Well, no, I was playing the piano. Like I started on piano before the guitar. like noodling on the piano. But then I took lessons and like I didn't care about playing Mary Had a Little Lamb and stuff like that. You know what I mean? I wanted to play Elton John songs. So I ended up, teaching myself chords, and then you could just listen to the record trying to figure out, if you're playing Let It Be or anything like that, it's just like, all right, C, G, F, so just figuring out the chord progressions. But yeah, like you said, it was just my love for Elton John or the Beatles or the Stones, as far as the piano stuff goes.
Mhm. And when did you figure out to be able to sing? Because before that point, you didn't really ever
Well, no,
sing,
I mean,
right?
like you said, when we were doing Stonehenge,
Yeah.
like when we played NIB or
Ah, yeah.
Sabbath,
Yeah, yeah.
then I would sing
Okay.
those songs.
Okay. So you knew you could pull it off if you want to.
Yeah. Well, just I don't know where to pull it off, but it just I enjoyed singing,
Yeah.
So
I really love that opening track, "Lose in Your Mind." There's also a video showing you with huge bell-bottom jeans in, I don't know, the Louisiana swamps.
oh yeah, totally.
And that track starts off with a banjo riff and reminds me kind of Eric Weissenberg's dueling banjos from the movie Deliverance,
There you go.
if you will.
A nice family movie.
Nice, yeah. Yeah.
When you want to gather the children around with some popcorn and watch a nice family soothing movie. Deliverance. But no. Because I had the riff and everything like that, but when we were in the studio, I had the banjo and I played the riff on the banjo with we definitely had a blast with that. That came out cool.
But why was Pride and Glory such a short-lived affair? Because, well, 2 years later, it kind of was over.
Yeah, well, we did the tour behind it. And when we got back, it was just like John Culloden had left the label. We had nobody at the label that was supporting the band. They were just like, we're done with this. So it was just kind of like, that's why it was in disarray.
Yeah.
The whole thing. It was like, well, what are we going to do here?
Yeah. And you had to fulfill a contract with Geffen Records. So after the demise of Pride and Glory, you released a solo album for them, Book of Shadows, in 1996. And it's kind of a lighter affair. The songs are often packed with piano and acoustic guitars and, I believe, synthesized strings.
Yeah.
What was your vision for Book of Shadows?
Well, no, I mean, we were working on Osmosis at the time.
Mm-hmm.
After we got done tracking during the day, I'd go over to this place called Brews, the pub. I'd go over there drinking, just chilling out after we got done recording. And the Stones would be on there, Bob Seger, the band, Eagles, Beatles, obviously like the Stones. And then, but I would go over there and just listen to the jukebox all night. Then I'd go back up to the apartment we were staying at the Lomont Plaza or Dumont Plaza. And then I remember on like 34th and Lexington, I'd go up into the room. I had my acoustic guitar, and I ended up, basically I wrote that whole record up there during that time when we were doing Osmosis. So yeah, just but once again, it's just my love for that music. Elton John was in there, Stones, I mean, everything like that.
Yeah. In 1997, you take part in a very rare cover compilation, which is only released in Japan. And I believe it might have been produced there, having a look at the credits of the people involved. It's called Stairway to Heaven, and it gathers all kinds of Led Zeppelin covers. And you are involved in versions of Black Dog, Stairway to Heaven, Going to California, Good Times, Bad Times, and Kashmir. What was that about, this weird Japanese Led Zeppelin cover compilation?
I mean, well, they had like everybody on that record. And actually, at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, Lou Gramm came up to me and was like, "Hey, Zakk, you remember that song that I said, "Oh, yeah." I forgot all,
Yeah.
It was so long. He goes, "Yeah, I remember that thing." But, yeah, I mean, it was like all about, it was a Zeppelin tribute.
But did that happen when you were on tour in Japan?
Yeah, I got asked to do it. I recorded it over at Good Night LA, Keith Olsen's studio.
Uh-huh.
But they were like, "Yeah, Zakk, just come over here. They got the tapes. They just, if you want to sing on these songs and play guitar on this." I was like, "Yeah, it would be a blast."
Yeah. But why is it only released in Japan and not worldwide?
I don't know. Who knows, man?
I mean, there's another Japanese affair that you're part of. It's Hard Pressed by Nobuteru Maeda, a composer and singer. And he did this US all-star album with him producing and singing. And you play guitar on the track Kimi Dake no Tomorrow. What is the story behind that? Can you remember?
No, I think either one of my managers at the time asked me, got asked to do it or whatever, and he knew the other guy's manager or whatever. So I was just like, yeah, no problem.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll jam on it.
Is
Just sent the tapes over and I jammed on it.
Is it easy getting you to jam, or are you always like, yeah, I'm open to everything? Like, yeah, just, I don't know.
Well, yeah,
if I have the time, I do.
Yeah, sometimes. I mean, it's just like, obviously it's not all the time, but I mean, but a lot of times it's either friends I know or whatever. It'll be a blast.
Yeah. In May 1999, you released the first album of a band that has a lot more endurance than Pride and Glory. It's Black Label Society. And Sonic Brew comes with this thickly condensed sound. It reminds me a bit of ZZ Top's 1996 album Rhythm Me In. Could you see that?
When we started Pride and Glory, Black Label.
Yeah.
No, just, I was playing with Guns N' Roses at the time and Oz.
Yeah.
And, Oz was like, Zacky, are you staying in the band? Are you going to be playing with the guys? What's going on? I said, Oz, I have no idea. Let me find out what's up, and then I'll let you know. And then Oz was just like, Zakk, have you found out yet? I said, Oz, I haven't gotten a response from them yet. And then Oz was like, Zakk, I'm gonna have to get somebody else in here. I can't be sitting around waiting to see if you're staying or you're coming or you're going. You know. So and that's when Joe Holmes came started playing with Oz, and Joe's amazing. Buddies with Joe, but so I was sitting around. I'm not playing with Oz. The Guns N' Roses thing was still sitting up. The guys didn't know what they wanted to do. Yeah, and I was just like, well, I got to do something. Otherwise, I'm just sitting around doing nothing. So I was just like, I had all these riffs sitting around, and I was like, and that's basically when Black Label was born. Yeah. So
but the sound is very special. It's so thickly condensed. So it has, I don't know, it sounds like nothing else. It just reminds me kind of the weirdly produced Rhythm Me In album by ZZ Top, which is also very thick sounding.
Oh, I dig it, man. Well, anything by ZZ Top's a compliment, so you know what I mean. But
that wasn't necessarily an influence on your first Black Label.
We just, when we made that record, me and Phil went down we were in Florida. Mm-hmm. We made the record with the Allman Brothers. Yeah, and we had a great time. Because Ron and Howard worked on Book of Shadows with me. Yeah, so they were like, "Well, Zacky, why don't you come out to our studio out in Miami?" Yeah, and we have a studio out here. We'll knock it there. And I said, all right, no problem, because I did the vocals there for Book of Shadows. Mm-hmm. So we went back out there with Phil, and me and Phil knocked the record out, and the rest is history.
The sound of Black Label Society becomes more heavy in times. For example, on 2002's 1919 Eternal, it is pretty metal, but still maintaining a certain swampiness. That said, there's a whole genre of bands that blend this swampiness and sludge with gnarly stoner metal. Bands like I Hate God, Bongzilla, Weed Eater, High on Fire, Down, Clutch, Crowbar, Buzzoven, Acid Bath. Are these bands you ever listened to or maybe got influenced by?
No, I think all those bands, I think with all of us, the common denominator is our love for Sabbath. Yeah. You know what I mean?
That's for sure, yeah.
Yeah, as far as that goes, is when I hear all the guys, and I'm friends with a lot of the guys that are in those bands you just mentioned. So, and all great guys and great bands. But I mean, I think it's just all of us we have that common bond of Sabbath.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah. Well, we don't have the time to get into everything you took part in over the years. So you work with Derek Sherinian, Damage Plan, Fozzy, Dope, My Darkest Days, Jester, Leslie West, The Rippingtons, Kill Devil Hill. Eric Gales, and the supergroup Generation X. But let's talk about you and Alice in Chains bassist Mike Inez covering the Black Sabbath classic Iron Man for William Captain Kirk Shatner's space concept album, Seeking Major Tom. Have you been in the studio with Shatner himself?
Yes, he was actually in the Black Vatican. Yes. Pretty amazing.
Okay. Just tell me everything about that session.
Oh, it was just amazing. I mean, William Shatner was like, Zakk, do you mind if I watch you play? Or what, can I stay, I was like, of course, you know what I mean? Yeah. So yeah, when he was there, when I tracked my guitar parts for Iron Man and everything like that, but because he wanted to watch the whole process. I mean, really a truly amazing guy, being that he's in his 90s now and he doesn't stop. He loves doing what he does.
Yeah.
I mean, he truly is an inspiration in doing, like, retire from what?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
Like, whether you're a movie director and you love directing and writing, and why would you retire from that? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just go until you move on to the next phase of all, while you're here.
Yeah.
Every day you wake up is a blessing, man. You know what I mean? Just live life to the fullest. I mean, William Shatner truly is living proof of that.
Yeah.
Really is, man. I mean, mind blown.
But you covering songs by Black Sabbath has a long tradition. We got that. So not only because you were part of Ozzy's band, but in 2014 you founded Zakk Sabbath, a full-fledged Sabbath tribute that already released albums. Let me ask you, what's the Sabbath song that is most fun to play for you?
Well, being that I'm in Zakk Sabbath, we're in a Black Sabbath tribute band. Under the Sun is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously Supernaut is amazing. I love Snowblind.
Uh-huh.
And we were just looking over there at the box set. Tomorrow's Dream is amazing. Into the Void. Love that one. I mean, I'm just saying.
It doesn't stop.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, Sabbath is the Beatles of hard rock. They really are.
Yeah,
so,
yeah, no doubt about that.
I mean, it's just a giant jukebox of hits.
It is, yeah. But what would you say is the greatest riff ever written?
Well, I mean, you gotta put Smoke on the Water up there.
Okay.
Just the simplicity of it, and it's lights out.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm saying every guitar player, that's like your first riff you learn because you could do it.
Yeah.
But that goes to show you how instantaneously recognizable that riff is.
Yeah.
And the simplicity of it.
Yeah. So is that what makes a great riff, the simplicity?
Yeah, I think so. Every time when we do the Sabbath runs and, with Zakk Sabbath, it's just the songwriting, and then there's an art form to the simplicity of things, you know what I mean? So, and Sabbath, Tony Iommi's just he is the lord of the riff,
Yeah, he is.
And I think, and same thing with Richie Blackmore. I mean, it's riffs, you know what I mean? And and the simplicity of it, AC/DC, everything like that. So it's just like, I mean, as much as I love the complicated, listening to, Prague and listening to Mahavishnu Orchestra and everything like that, it's just like, or Yes, or anything like that, Gentle Giant, or any of the progressive stuff. It's the simplicity. There's an art form to that as well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because, I mean, even Chuck Mangione, he does instrumental stuff, feel good. I mean, that down, 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 down. I mean, that's the reason why it was a hit song, and it was an instrumental. You know what I mean? Just because of the simplicity of it, and it's just a cool melody.
You never shied away from writing occasional ballads. Your recent album with Black Label Society ends with a heartfelt ballad, Ozzy's Song. And that is a tribute to the man who started all of this for you. What does come easier to you, writing a ballad or writing a heavy rock song?
Well, I mean, for the rock songs, it always starts with the riff, and that'll dictate to where the song's going to go. It'll inspire a melody and everything like that. I mean, the Ozzy song, I had the music sitting around, and I was like, wow, I really like the music on this is really pretty. I got to figure out what I want to do with it. And then, so I had the music sitting around. I hadn't sang anything over it yet. But then after Oz passed away, then we went over, we laid him to rest. When I got back home, I ended up writing the lyrics to that. So, and the reason why it's Ozzy, so I had, it has a lyric in the chorus. And then, but my wife would always just go, put Ozzy's song on, the one you wrote for Ozzy.
Yeah. And
so that when she kept saying, oh, put on Ozzy song, I'm just going to name it that. You know what I mean? So, because obviously the chorus, there's nowhere in there that it says Ozzy in the song. You know what I mean? Like if I would have played it for you, if you didn't know I wrote that for Ozzy, you would just figure maybe I wrote it for Zakk, what did you write this song about? You know what I mean? Well, like within this river, we always call it Dime song now, but I mean, it's just, I wrote that before Dime passed away.
Yeah.
So, but now whenever we play it, it's just like, oh, I wouldn't, were we putting Dime song in the set? You know what I mean? So that's just, I probably would have named it Dime song, even then. So, but, being that, my wife just kept going, oh yeah, play Ozzy song again. I want to hear that one again. But, so that's why it's called Ozzy song.
By the way, mentioning Diamond Daryl, what's your favorite Pantera song to play? Because you stepped into his footsteps and toured with Pantera.
I mean, all of them. I mean, it really is playing, going through their catalog and learning the songs and everything like that. It just, aside of, obviously the hits, whether it's Becoming and Walk and I'm Broken and things like that, the really popular songs. I mean, the real thing that separated them from everybody else, I mean, in that genre is just their songwriting. As insanely aggressive and groovy. Heavy it is, it's just like, I mean, how Sabbath is the Beatles of that genre of heavy, like Pantera is like the Beatles of that genre of extreme metal.
Yeah.
They really are. I mean, it's just because it's the songs and the crowd singing the lyrics, you're not singing the lyrics unless you know the songs.
But going back to the ballad, and this is my final question, what is the best rock ballad ever written?
Well, there's lots of them, I guess.
You're allowed to mention more than one.
I mean, the Beatles, you got to put the Beatles up there, Long and Winding Road. Then you got Wild Horses. To me, that one's epic.
Yeah.
And I mean, even Sabbath with Changes.
Yeah.
And then, Zeppelin going to California is always amazing.
Love it.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, the songs I mentioned they're pretty up there.
Well, Zakk, thanks a lot for doing this.
Well, thanks for having me on, bro.
So, liebe Zuhörerinnen, Zuhörer und alle irgendwo dazwischen, wer auf dem Laufenden bleiben möchte und neugierig ist, in welcher Situation das Gespräch stattgefunden hat, darf gern den Instagram-Kanal des Visions-Magazins abonnieren oder meinen persönlichen unter Jan Schwarzkamp und am liebsten selbstverständlich beide. Und wer das Online-Abo von Visions Plus abschließt, kann den Podcast außerdem immer schon exklusiv vorab hören. Bleibt gesund, bleibt mir treu und dann hören wir uns hoffentlich bei der nächsten Episode von der Soundtrack meines Lebens wieder. Bis dahin, euer Jan Schwarzkamp.